Professor Dave and Chegg here. We just learned the basics about galvanic cells. Now we need to know how to perform the associated calculations that will tell us precisely what kind of current will be generated. This will involve looking at reduction potentials. So let's dive into this now.
In the previous tutorial, we examined a galvanic cell involving a copper anode and a silver cathode in order to familiarize ourselves with galvanic cells and understand how they work. This particular cell has a cell potential of 0.46 volts, which is generated due to the difference in the electrical potentials for each electrode, and it is specific to these materials, copper and silver. A different combination of anode and cathode would result in a different cell potential. So we should have tabulated information in order to know what the cell potential would be for any hypothetical pairing of anode and cathode. The problem is that we can't really list potentials for isolated materials without context. We need some kind of reference. That's why we use the standard hydrogen electrode. This is a platinum electrode sitting in 1 molar hydrochloric acid that facilitates the reduction of hydrogen ions into hydrogen gas, and we say that this has a standard reduction potential of 0 volts. Now we can list everything else in reference to this electrode. Let's say we create a cell by combining the standard hydrogen electrode with a copper electrode. Now we can measure the standard reduction potential of copper. In this case, the hydrogen electrode is the anode and the copper electrode is the cathode, and we see that this generates a cell potential of 0.337 volts. If cell potential, or E cell, is given by E cathode minus E anode, and E anode is the reference electrode of 0 volts, then the reduction potential of copper is all of the 0.337 volts. We can do this with any material. Let's replace the copper cathode with a silver one. Now the voltmeter reads 0.8 volts, so that must be the standard reduction potential for silver 1 ions, because again, the reference electrode will be 0. This method has been used to determine the standard reduction potentials for many materials, some of which are listed here. With these values tabulated, we can just refer to them if we wish to calculate E cell for any hypothetical galvanic cell. We simply use the equation E cell equals E cathode minus E anode. Just plug in the standard reduction potentials for any two materials, and we can easily calculate the cell potential for the cell that would result when we put those two materials together. For example, a cell with a copper anode and a silver cathode will have a cell potential according to this equation. We just take E cathode, in this case silver, and subtract from that E anode, in this case copper. The tabulated standard reduction potentials for these materials, as we saw earlier, are 0.8 volts for silver and 0.34 volts for copper, so we will get 0.46 volts. This agrees with what the voltmeter says if we create such a cell, so we can see that we don't have to physically set up a galvanic cell in order to predict the cell potential it will have. We just have to use tabulated reduction potentials and do the arithmetic, and we have such values for any material you might want to use. One point we must understand is this. Since all substances are listed in terms of reduction potentials, we must know which substance is going to be oxidized and which will be reduced. For example, let's say that we were to construct a cell from gold and nickel, and we want to identify which will be the cathode and which will be the anode, and we want to calculate the standard cell potential. We can simply refer to their standard reduction potentials. Gold has a positive value for this, which means that it is a favorable process, while nickel has a negative value for its standard reduction potential, which means that it is less favorable. So gold, being the more positive value, is the one that will be reduced, so this is the reduction half reaction. Meanwhile, nickel must therefore be oxidized, so this is the oxidation half reaction. This also means that gold will be the cathode and nickel will be the anode. Now that we have determined which is which, we can plug the associated reduction potentials into the equation for E cell. Now, it may seem unintuitive, but we actually do not have to modify these values whatsoever, not to compensate for the direction of the reaction, and not even for stoichiometry associated with number of electrons. We simply plug in the numbers precisely as they are in the tabulated data. And if we do this, we get E cathode minus E anode, and this will give us 1.755 volts as the standard cell potential. Let's try another example to cement this concept. We have zinc solid and lead 2 plus going to zinc 2 plus and lead solid. Given the standard reduction potentials for zinc 2 plus and lead 2 plus of negative 0.763 and negative 0.126 respectively, identify the reaction at the cathode, the reaction at the anode, and the standard cell potential. Well, both of these are negative, but lead is less negative, which means it is more positive, or at least closer to being positive. So that will be the reduction that takes place at the cathode. This also means that solid zinc will be oxidized at the anode, and these will be the relevant half reactions. Plugging in our values for E cathode and E anode, we will get 0.637 volts for the standard cell potential. And just one more to be thorough. Let's look at this galvanic cell involving magnesium and zinc with the components listed in cell notation. This time we are given that the standard reduction potential of zinc 2 plus is negative 0.76 volts, and the standard cell potential for the cell is 1.61 volts. What is the standard reduction potential of magnesium 2 plus? Well, we know that with cell notation, we are always listing the anode half reaction first. This means that magnesium is oxidized at the anode to produce magnesium 2 plus. Then on the other side of the double lines is the cathode half reaction, which means zinc 2 plus is reduced to produce zinc solid. So given the equation E cell equals E cathode minus E anode, we can plug in two of these values from the given information. Now we just need to solve for E anode, and to do this we simply add 0.76 to both sides, which gives us 2.37 volts. And then we just invert the sign on both sides since they are both negative. That will give us negative 2.37 volts as the standard reduction potential for magnesium. This is very unfavorable, which makes sense, as magnesium has a very high tendency to be oxidized, so magnesium ions are very unlikely to get reduced.
So to summarize, it is easy to calculate cell potentials for any hypothetical galvanic cell. First, we simply look up the tabulated standard reduction potentials for the two substances we are curious about. Then we figure out which of the two substances will be the cathode and which will be the anode. Again, the one with the larger, more positive standard reduction potential will be the cathode. Then we just plug them into this equation precisely as they are to get the answer. And now we can calculate cell potentials. Professor Dave for Chegg. See you next time.